officially give it a couple minutes, and I tweet it out and then get people in here. Oh, by the way, Mike, fuck your pick'ems this last week.
Bro,
I'm almost caught up.
I totally picked off of the previous meta before all the updates, before the new maps, before the mini roster mania. And the biggest upset is I turned my back on Paris when I predicted previously their upset. And I was like, Paris is going to do really good. Watch out, COD League. Paris is the team to look out for. And then I predicted them losing both their matches. I don't know why. I did that, but I got some wild pick'ems for this week too. I mean, at this point, I don't even really care anymore as far as being correct and accurate. As far as just like forcing my will,
your will
into seeing the matches, that I want to see. Yo, congrats to Seattle, by the way.
I fucking told you how it was gonna go down.
This guy over here for 4 continuous weeks. Seattle's gonna win. They never.
They got close a couple times. Okay.
They finally got a win, and now is the time that he's like, I told you they were gonna win. Where'd it go?
But not only did I tell you that they were going to win, I told you exactly how they were going to win this time.
Yeah.
Map prediction, game prediction, everything.
Whew.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Wait, I got to make sure that. Oh wait. Oh shit. Oh okay. that was preemptive. 1 second. I always forget to do one thing. And that's change the episode number on the header. It's 26.
Ooh, I didn't know you've done that many.
Yep. All right. Let it run for. Gotta make sure I got all my tabs open too. So what we're going to do, even though the mics are hot, I'm going to explain it. We're going to introduce you, and then after our conversation, we're going to outro you, because we have some predictions and shit for this week that we have to do.
Okay.
You can stay around for those if you want. That's completely up to you.
I assume it's just COD stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll dip. I don't know shit about that. I was the best casual COD player ever.
Dude, you're really good. I wanted to compete with you at one point. Just wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just like CS in a lot of ways, so transfers over.
There we go. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and roll on over. Welcome, everybody, to the 26th episode of the LFTG podcast. Still on YouTube, back at it again. This time, I will not fail to mention that I am Refresh, and my beautiful co-host is always sitting next to me, always kind of, but not really.
Is that the handoff, Mohawkmike?
Yeah, I love it. But we are sitting here with our second guest in a row, 2 episodes in a row. Look at us. And it's a special one because this is something that like I've talked about for a little bit, that Logos and I talked about. But anyway, Logos, melee player from Utah. I think you should be in the top 100. Just right there. I have way more belief probably than he does in his skills, but I've been watching Logos play for quite a bit now. I kind of can't, like when I was coming up in the scene as a TO in Utah, he was always coming to the events, and then we just talked about Melee a lot and ended up becoming homies. Now we're here. Logos is our first official pickup for LFTG as a player. Because I'm missing Melee, dude. I'm wanting to dip my little greasy fingies into the Melee. Melee right now. So
I agree with you, by the way. I think, like, I think if COVID didn't happen and I was on the momentum that I would be top 100 this year.
Because the last event that you competed in really was Genesis. And that's where you beat Fat Goku.
Mm.
And you beat him pretty convincingly. He just
it was 2-0.
Yeah, he came off of he lost against Spud.
Mm-hmm.
He just got beat by Spud in a pretty close set and immediately had to run over to you. And I was standing behind you. I was like, momentum's here. I was like, he just lost. I was like, this is your time. And you took advantage of that. Your counter picks are right. And you just played super, super hard.
Yeah, I actually wanted to play Spud instead. I was just more comfortable versus Marth at the time. Probably still my best matchup. But I do agree with you about the counterpick thing. I took him to FOD because I don't even think like that's like a straight counterpick. I'm just like, every Fox is so bad at this stage. Like, and this guy's uncomfortable, so yeah. So I guess I guess it was 2-1 then. If that was my counterpick.
Yeah, it was 2-1. Because
yeah, I think
did you reverse him? Because did you lose game 1?
Maybe. I thought we started Battlefield and I won that, and then he won like FD, and then I won FOD.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I usually ban Yoshi's against Fox. So.
Fun fact, Mohawk, I got hit with the controller that Fat Goku threw after the set because it skipped off the floor and hit me in the shin. He said I was sorry. I was too busy popping off. I get super excited every time I get to watch Logos play. I get super dummy excited.
Yeah,
it's hard for me.
I think that's that's something that I'm interested in. Kind of hearing more about. It's like I know that like within like a lot of like the esports communities, like there's always like obviously like with like the professional leagues, like there's obvious rankings as far as like where you finish, world championships and things like that. Melee has always been on the cutting edge as far as like rankings, not just like for overall global or NA, but also like states and locals and things like that as well. Is that something like once you started competing more and like you started like kind of hitting these rankings, like did you ever set like a goal as far as like this is where I want to be by the end of the year? Is that something that you wanted to use as try and leverage as far as like getting more exposure for yourself as a player? Or was it just like, oh, I'm just playing good and I happen to be on the leaderboard now?
No, I've always been very like results oriented. So first, my goal was definitely like first in Utah. I never was able to achieve that when Commaster was here, which was like a very, very high level player that was like back in the old school era that came back and then moved to my state. I was number 1 before that. And then after he moved away, I ended up taking number 1 back. But after that, I was kind of like broadened with the whole like, there's like more to this. Like, I don't think Utah is like that great and I want like more for myself. So I set the goal to be top 100. And that's still like one of my goals, even if I feel like it got taken away from me a little bit with COVID, but I mean, there are worse things, but
because you placed top 64 at Genesis, right?
Yeah, I placed 49th. And so like I have multiple like top 100 wins under my belt. So like Alex said, the thing about like Melee is that the rankings are a bit nebulous because there's like a panelist and like what tournaments count, what tournaments don't. But if you ask me, my skill level is around there. Most people agree, but I kind of want like it's gone from just wanting like the top 100 rank, and now I'm like I want to be like top 20.
Yeah. I guess for people that don't really know you, because people that usually tune into what we do usually pay attention to like the Halo and Call of Duty stuff through the tournaments that we've hosted, and then obviously who we've met through, because Mike works with me over at Gaming Generations, and we've traveled a lot together, so we have a lot of people scattered in the scene that will pay attention to kind of what's going on. So you're from Utah. You are a Falco main primarily. You've dabbled a little bit in Marth, but not like seriously, or would you say?
I'd say my most serious secondary is actually Fox.
Okay.
I've dabbled with all the top 4. Like I have like a Sheik, a Marth, and a Fox, but Fox is the only one that I've like entered tournaments like as like this could possibly be my secondary, because I've always had the belief that I just want to grind the matchup rather than like taking the shortcut of playing a character that's better suited for it.
Yeah.
But Fox, I'm like, man, Sheik and Puff are
pretty nice.
kind of rough sometimes, and Fox just like destroys them. And Fox like also makes my Falco better, so it's also a reason. But yeah, back in like the Game Time era, I was playing a little bit of Marth.
And you got into Smash through PM, right? That was like your first real big. Mm-hmm. And what got you into PM? Because I like from the outside looking in, that's arguably the hardest one to get into.
Yeah. So back in like I've competed in a bunch of games, man. Like I actually started in Halo 3. Like I was doing game battles and stuff. It's like 11 years old, and then started competing in like WoW Arena. And then like I was going to like LAN tournaments for Halo 3 and stuff, and then I played like a little bit of COD, but I mainly like wanted to make like sniper montages and stuff. And then I competed in TF2, so I Brawl was something that I just played with my friends, and I was like, all right, this is like the casual thing, and I'm not ever going to become tryhard in it. Like this is just for fun. And then my friend was like, yo, check out this mod, Project M, and then like I saw like the combos like Lucario and stuff could do, and I was like, whoa, this is sick. And then we started playing that. And then eventually like some of my other friends were like, yo, look at Melee, like look at all these storylines and stuff. And then we just started playing PM and like grinding out tech skill, and then I was like, I think I'm pretty good at this game. And inevitably I just was like, I want to enter some tournaments. Like it's just kind of who I am. I just always want to be as good as I can at whatever I do. So I think my first tournament in PM, I got like third. It was at some like Layton local. And then second tournament, I ended up beating everyone in Utah. And everyone was like, you know, who the hell is this guy? And I was like, oh yeah, okay. I'm not casual in this game anymore.
Yeah, then, it's that fine step between like wanting to be like good and wanting to be literally just better than everybody you're playing against.
Yeah, also there's just like that, how much do I want to take away from just like the dumb fun of this game?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but like with my progression through PM, there was a new patch that came out, and it kind of killed the game for a lot of people. And I was already sort of like dabbling in Melee. And I just saw like this potential like completely new field, because I rose so fast through PM. I was like, okay, I'm kind of ready for something new.
Mm-hmm.
And PM or Melee kind of just feels better, and it's more rewarding because it's, you know, like PM had its like buffer and the tech skill was like easier.
Yeah.
So PM's like the perfect entry level game. So it was a good segue into Melee, and then I kind of got my ass kicked in Melee for the first bit. Like I was not anywhere near number one for like the first year that I played. I only started being in contention for that like the like second year I started playing, when I started like, I was like, you know, I want to go to like Evo and travel for tournaments and stuff, and like this is like a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. So PM was definitely the catalyst that introduced me to all of that.
Did you hop right into Falco, or like why?
I didn't actually. I started as a Fox main for the first like 6 months, and people were surprised by that because I played Wolf, and he's very similar to Falco. You know, he's like a laser game. He's like very high pressure, very combo oriented. So like the PM player that was probably like number 2, number 3 at the time, he was like, really? No Falco? And I was like, nah, like, and I think one of the reasons is because Falco is actually Wolf's like worst matchup in PM. So I was like, man, I hate Falco. And I honestly, like, I just loved Fox's drill, like his you know, multi-hit down air, shine. Like,
feels good when you shine out of it, yeah.
Because like most like fighting games have like a, you know, like a juggle sort of system for comboing that most characters follow, but Fox has both. Fox has a juggle, but he also like slides you and just like pushes you across the stage. And I was like, this is cool. And I was like, the thing that got me into Smash, I was like, I love spiking people and I love shield pressure. So I tried Falco, and you know, those are like his two things, and I was just like, okay, like this is my character.
A little bit of style in it too.
Oh yeah, hold the gun sideways, pop collar. Yeah, he's got it all.
Yeah, he's got it all. So you went through this whole stint of like growing in Melee and starting to go to events. Obviously you started going bigger and bigger events. And then when did you start really traveling out of state? Was that around when I met you? Because I feel like for the first year that I knew you, you traveled out of state like maybe once or twice. And then after that, you were starting to like really go out of state, like almost 4 or 5 times a year.
When did we meet? Like 2017?
2016.
2016?
Mm-hmm.
So my first tournament was Evo 2015.
Mm-hmm.
And then what was after that? I honestly don't really remember. But I had gone to like Vegas a few times just for the regionals. But yeah, I'd probably say by the time I met you, I had like under 6-7 tournaments.
Okay.
So that's a heck of a way to jumping in with Evo though for your first like big tournament to go to. Was that intimidating at all? Like just showing up? Like I'm sure like a lot of players, like I know that they talk about like they've seen the Smash Brothers documentary, or they follow the scene. Was it one of those things? Was it intimidating going to Evo, or did you do like enough research to kind of know what you were getting into?
I was honestly I was like 19 at the time, so I was just like, it was like 19, 20. So honestly, I was just like, dumb kid filled with like overconfidence, like, oh, I got so good, so fast, destroy everyone. Everyone sucks. So I had a lot of like false bravado going into the game or going into Evo. And funny enough, the first I guess discourse is I forgot my credit card for the whole trip. So my friend had to spot me like the whole trip, and I like had to pay him back later. So that was almost as bad as it could have gone. But I could go into details about how this entire trip was it was a mess, man. But as far as like intimidated, not really. More so just like I was so excited and so starstruck to see all these like just players that I've been a fan of, like Mango and like West Balls, and I was like, I just want to see all these people in real life and see them play, and like just this atmosphere of like this is like me, this is what I want to do with my life. Like everyone's here to compete and like see who's the best, and that was just so like I think the intimidation didn't have like the headspace to get in, just because I was just so like fanatical about what I was doing at the time.
I feel that. I got super lucky when I was playing Halo, and my dad took me to a lot of LAN events when I was really young. So by the time I got into like the age where I could have competed, I wasn't like overwhelmed. I was already like friends with some of the people, and I was like willing to get in it. And that's how I got in. That's how I got into watching Melee, because I'm hot doo-doo garbage. Like there's 3 levels. There's people that don't know any tech skill. There's people that don't know any tech skill. There's people that know tech skill and know how to execute it, and those people destroy level 1. And then there's people that have mastered tech skill, and those people destroy level 2. There's like 3 clear tiers, and then obviously in the 3rd tier, there's like you have your 150s, potential 100s. You have your 100s, your top 50s, your top 20s, and then even your top 10. You could probably even break it down to top 5 if you really want to break down a tier list.
Melee's like a
hard.
Yeah, Melee's
I think Melee's the hardest
also,
esport in the world.
Yeah, I think it's just up in the air with like Brood War, Counter-Strike, and Melee. And that's just like purely how long those games have been around, and how they just have that much time for people to master this meta, right? And Melee is weird because its progression system is like not super clear cut. Like
it's not at all.
you have like this false like belief that you're getting, like you are getting better at the game, but a false belief that you're understanding a lot about the game, when in reality like that first like 6 months to a year, it's literally just mechanics and tech skill at the game. Like if you have better tech skill than someone who's also about as new as you're just going to destroy them most of the time.
Yeah, and it's a lot of, you get a lot of like repetitive ruts, and especially if you live in a state like Utah where you don't have necessarily the best players to play with, and net play wasn't really around. You don't know your bad habits until someone exploits them in an event, and then you got to hope that they play friendlies with you after. It's not something you can just get online and grind and be like, oh, this is where I'm making my mistakes. Obviously now it's a little different, but but I got into, like my passion with the game is purely as like a spectator and as like a community management sort of way. Cause I love the game. I think it's one of the most entertaining games. It's the UFC is like the traditional sports version of Melee for me. Like you have your clear cut rankings, you have like your basically your Evo, like your title fights, and then you have your rankings are pretty solid. Like 1 should beat 2. Like it's usually how it goes. And Melee is pretty good for that. And like the games that I grew up with, like Halo and Call of Duty, like 1 doesn't always beat 2. Every now and then you have Dynasty like Final Boss back in the day, but Carbon could beat Final Boss, and Carbon was sick and the best team of all time, 06 Carbon.
I'm a straight ripping fanboy.
Yeah, we didn't like you guys.
Too big of a Snipe Down fan.
Tom, look at me, Tom. But so when you started going to events, because something that you and I have talked a lot about with Melee, and we can kind of start to go out of Melee a little bit because you're a fan of competitive games in general. You and I especially have talked a lot about like the mental health part going into a game as like Melee, because a game like Melee, you don't really have teammates to rely on. You don't have anyone next to you to hype you up. You're in your own head. A lot of people have like a lot of different rituals. Some people like wearing headphones. I know you do. Some people don't like wearing headphones because they like to hear the crowd noise. Some people listen to music. They don't want to hear the game at all. What I know of you, I don't want to say have struggled in certain areas with some of your mental health, but I know sometimes Melee has gotten you down. Do you feel like the game, and I feel like that's kind of a common theme in this game, do you feel like the game invites like too much of a grind, and so sometimes you get stuck in your own head?
I mean, that's a thing that Mango always talks about. Is like, if you're a Melee player, like you have depression, I swear. Melee is just like, I was about to say this. I think Melee's like one of Melee's biggest downfalls. It's very weird to say, but it's too fun. Like tech skill feels so good to do that you often neglect like the boring parts of improving, like labbing, analyzing matches. Like most people don't do that. So like there's like this weird like spectrum of like I was talking about earlier about like how much fun you want to have and how serious you're going to be, because you just want to like mindlessly play and you're like, I'm getting better, but you just can't. And there's also just Melee is so like, given how high the skill ceiling is, especially with its mechanical value, it is so like, it is this roller coaster of peak and valleys. So when you experience these peaks of like, I'm playing so good and it feels great, and you know that reference point, and then when you start playing terribly, you're just like why do I do this? Like I'm so bad. And it's this Melee is just a roller coaster. Like you don't get highs quite like it, but you definitely get some lows that are unparalleled by most.
I mean, I've gotten pretty lucky. Oh, go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was gonna say, like, having also like here as well as like your experience like playing other games like Halo, TF2, and stuff like that from a competitive mindset. Do you think that there's, from your mental stance, like, do you approach it the same way as far as like, I know I need to practice, match analysis, like you said, or is there like certain aspects of prepping for a Melee tournament that you think is way different than prepping for another tournament for another game?
They're similar, but they're also couldn't be more different because Melee is a solo sport, and TF2 and stuff is team. So there is like that. There's definitely a difference in prep work because you're just worried about yourself, and that may sound easier, but sometimes it can make it harder. Like I felt like in TF2 when I was like concerned about my teammates and we were all like conversing, that in a way made it feel like a little easier, and I wasn't just in my own head as much. With Melee, it's like it's just you, and it's like, what are people going to think if I lose to this person? Like you just have a lot more time to just be in your own head, and like the people that you're talking to and the people you're around, like you might have to play them. So there's kind of like this, like you want to be transparent, but you kind of want to have like this, like I'm not afraid of you kind of thing. Cause it's like like Alex said, it's kind of like UFC. Like you got to have like this, like presence, I guess. And so, so the prep work is definitely different. As far as improvement progression, it's very similar, but like when I was playing like just shooters, it was just so clear that like if you have really good aim, like that gets you so far.
Yeah.
Even even like top level, like if you're just an aimer, like you can just destroy people. But like in Melee, like let's say you have like some of the people in Melee, actually a lot of the people in Melee who have had the best tech skill are like garbage at the game.
Yeah.
Like they just get destroyed.
They don't
So it's
think
like,
about
dude,
the game.
I thought I was getting better. Like what happened?
I compare like team games is like working on like a school project in a group, and then playing a game like Melee is like writing a 30-page essay that you have to get an A on.
That's a good way to put it.
Because like in a group project, I can look to my left, I can look to my right. I can, even if I'm like confused about something, I can ask someone else. And like Melee has started to like, not started because they've been doing it for a long time, but it's still kind of newer in the sport. But coaches have kind of like started to come in and be a little bit more frequent, whether it's like a coach as a friend or like a true analyst coach, kind of like a Crunch. What?
Yeah.
Do you, because I mean, I've stood behind you, and like the environment that your friends can create around you while competing can be very stressful. Like I've had like as
expectations.
Yeah, you have expectations, but also you have people around you that after every game, they want to like rush up to you and immediately ask you how the game.
That was a big thing of yours. You kept everyone away from me. I remember that.
Yeah,
you were the bodyguard.
Well, because like I noticed it really heavily at I think Evo 2016 or 17.
Oh, the one I did well.
Yeah,
where I must be off.
That was 17 because that was the event before GTX.
Okay.
You had a couple of friends. You lost your first game, like your first set, and like your friends just like swarmed you, and then you had to like make like a mini losers bracket run. And after every game, I had to be like, no, like let them think about the game, because Melee is a lot to process, and I feel like you can lose that the game happens so fast. You can lose it. You can lose that information so fast. I feel like that's why people rage at a game like Call of Duty, because like you're playing, you died, you immediately come back up. You don't think about why you died. You just died and you're back in it. And you never get the chance to process that information. And then playing Halo, I noticed like, well, when I died, I had 5 or 6 seconds. They'll be like, okay, this is how I died. I'm not going to do that again. But Melee, it is very much like, all right, you lost that stage. All right, Battlefield. Okay, Battlefield. And then the next one starts. And then if you have people popping off around you and they're trying to like grab you and be like, good shit. Then it's like, okay, well, chill. I think there's a difference of, and like you and I have had some conversations before sets that I feel like were pretty good. Like we, just kind of like reading the room is big in a game like Melee, of like I said, like when you were at Genesis, I was like, hey, Fat Cook was down, like rush his ass, like play hot, and you played hot. And it's like reading that room is super important in a game like that. And that's just not something you get in most games, because reading a room is like, you have to read 4 different people. It's like reading a whole poker table rather than just.
I've actually experienced that a lot in CS, where my Melee brain gets in the way, where I'm like, oh, this guy plays here, and like he plays this way, and then it's just like a completely different player and he's holding an angle, and I'm like, right. it's not 1v1. Got it. So that's very true. Melee is like it's a very expressive game. Mm-hmm. So with like team games, also back to your point, Mike, like this is a major difference I think in them. Like it's like a relationship. Like you really tap into the head of the person. Like there's a very common phrase in fighting games. It's like he's in his head. Like you just know everything they're going to do. You know how they play. But in like Counter-Strike and like COD and Halo, it's much more like a formula, right? Mm-hmm. Like you're like we hold these positions, like they respawn here. Like it's not so much like this player likes to do this. It's like, since we're holding this position, he's probably going to go here. So Melee does have a formula to it, but it's also like, it's so much more up in the air, which I think is a really beautiful part of it, but also it can be really frustrating because it's so unclear what you're supposed to do. And it's like that, like in like Counter-Strike and stuff, it's like, well, this is your solution for this problem. You just hold this angle, you smoke this, you molly this, and you're like, okay. But it's like Melee, like, A beats X, but in this position, X also beats A, and it's like, do you want to use this tool? Like, there's so many tools available for you, and it's also like, what kind of play style do you have? And you got to, like, like bolster your strengths. So that also, like you were saying, like Rushdown, Fat Goku, he's like down or whatever. That could probably also be a thing in a team sport where like this team just had a loss, but it's much different, right? Because I feel like also in Melee, you're sitting right next to the person. That's
yeah,
thing,
you're
right?
breathing on them.
There's so much body language in that game, like, and especially with like DI, like Smash DI, like when you're getting hit and you're like that as you're getting hit, like, I mean, like it's kind of a physical thing. Like you kind of feel like you're like actually like physically fucking them up. Because you're just hitting them over and over, and they're like reacting to it. So it's very personal for sure.
Mike, what?
I don't know if I went on like a rant there, but yeah.
No, that's good. So I kind of want to hop into so events are coming back pretty soon. There's a little bit of Minute Maid powder in the water right now of turning this crazy lemon into some lemonade. There's a little bit of Minute Maid powder in the water right now. We can see it. We're about to stir it. We just need a little bit more powder in there.
Beautiful.
So when events come back, there's Mike, this kind of goes for you as well. We're known for the people that bring in the CRTs. My theory is this. I have a CRT right here. I play on my CRT quite often, and I love it. But I don't think that's what people are practicing on anymore, obviously, because they can't.
This is very topical. Like, I don't know. Are you aware that this is like a topic that's happening right now?
Yes, I am very much. So I bring it up. It's a topic. It's a topic that you can't really point fingers at yet. We can point fingers at at a later time of the year. But so the topic is, now that you've tossed it up to me, we have the debate now, whether do we go back to CRTs or we stay on monitors. I'm kind of on the monitor train. I hate setting up monitors because I have to take them out of the box. I have to screw in the base, and then I have to run the cable. With the CRT, they're heavy, but they're more expensive to ship because we have to drive them in. But I can just rip it off a pallet, slap it on a table, and plug it in, and I can call it a day. What do you think about the monitor debate that's kind of going on right now?
I am also kind of on the monitor train. Like, I have this term for people. I call them like net play flat earthers, where they're like, it's not Melee. Like, it's like, if it's not on a CRT, it's not Melee. And I'm like, dude, you play on like a 60 hertz like laptop from like the 1990s. Like, of course Melee doesn't feel good. Like, so I think like, if we get good setups, like I've played on monitor setups at tournaments, and I'm like, yeah, this is Garbo. Like the change of input gives like a lot of lag, but like with like Slippy and everything now, like if we can find a way to make monitors like feel the way they do on netplay, that's the train I'm on. Because there have been times at a tournament, like Genesis, like,
yep,
my TV was just going out.
Yep,
like,
I remember that.
Yeah, it was just like go dark. And yeah, and it's just like this whole thing where it's like, oh, like I had to play on this shitty like
the Disney princess, Mickey Mouse ears TV.
SpongeBob, Dora the Explorer,
VCR combo.
Don't hate on the SpongeBob TV, because my SpongeBob TV is nice.
No, we have to hate on it because I was informed at multiple events that it creates 2 frames of lag.
Oh, because of the DVD
VCR
player
draws power. Yeah, that's
no. That's a false, dude. Yes. Okay. There's this thing. Every game in the FGC does this. Every game. All right. I'm going to put myself on blast a little bit. I hope this is good out there. I've been at an event where we'll just say it's Tekken. I've gone to a Tekken station. Hey, there's like 5 frames of lag. Swap out the PS4s. I've unplugged the PS4, walked behind the curtain, came back out with the same PS4, plugged it in, and they were like, "Oh, this feels perfect. Like, this is the best. This is the best PS4. This is the best setup." I don't know what it is, but FGC creates like these myths of like just whimsical powers that like VCRs connected to the CRT have. Like, no, it's a direct input. It doesn't take, when that VCR's not on, it takes up zero power. But with monitors, Mike, you and I at the last in-person, well, I shouldn't say in-person because, Big House didn't really happen this last time. But the last Big House that we played on the Eon setup that they had. And I was shocked because they had really nice, like 1 millisecond monitors, like really fast, like $250 monitors. And honestly, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is the same. Like this is good Melee. Like Melee feels like this. Because usually when you play on a monitor, and I've done it before, like I said, I'm not like good at the game, but if you can execute text, when you execute text skill, especially like if you go from playing, like if you are competing in one game and you do know how to like notice lag, you can wiggle the stick around, especially on like the character select screen, and be like,
it's like a tone deaf, dude. I'm shocked when people are like playing an HD TV and like we're playing Ultimate with my friends, and they're like, this is fine. I'm like, bro, this is unplayable.
I have literally changed people's lives by giving them a monitor and just having them play on a monitor. Even
I play Counter-Strike with is just like 60 hertz gang, and I'm like, dude, like
it's a different game. It's a really different feel. But I'm definitely on the monitor train. I know it's a hot topic, and I know there's a lot of people that aren't about it because they do like, True Melee is on CRT. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'll keep my CRTs forever, and I have a ton of them, but I also have a ton of monitors. And there are some good like aftermarket input adapters, but I think a lot of people don't realize is they have to have power going into that adapter.
Yeah.
You can't just get like a 1-to-1. You have to have like something that plugs into the wall.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
My thing is like, I don't want to play on a monitor if it's not at least 144 hertz. And I know a lot of people are like, Melee is only at 60 FPS, but like the creator of like Slippy and everything like debunked that. Like, no, it does make a difference.
Right. So when the creator of Slippy debunked that, did he debunk it from PC to monitor, or did he debunk it from a GameCube to monitor?
PC.
Okay.
But like I've played on like Wii to 60 hertz monitors that are 1ms, and then like over to 144 hertz, and I'm like it just feels so much better.
Yeah. I mean, 144, if you're running a professional event, a high quality monitor is going to be the standard. I mean, honestly like I guess the big point of this topic for me is it's going to cost TOs a lot less money to use monitors, because you can find monitor sponsors a lot easier. Obviously, like there's gaming generations. We only have like we have plenty of CRTs to go to a major event, but it's not like we can do 200 of them like we can monitors.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing too, is like obviously like, with Melee up to this point, it's all been like that authentic experience, right? Everybody play it on GameCube, people were playing it on Wii's, but you want GameCube, you want CRT, you want that authentic experience. But like when I was on board, like literally right before it was Apex 2015 was when Gaming Generations, we got contracted and we're like, hey, we're going to work all of these Smash events this year. So we need as many copies of Melee we can get. We need as many GameCubes, and we need CRTs. And that was one of the tasks that I was put on. Like I went to local recycling centers that just had CRT sitting around because one, they can't really recycle them. They can't just bust them open and recycle the parts. But it's like Craigslist, Facebook, everywhere I could to get CRTs.
Sales?
Yeah, garage sales. Like literally it got to the point where it's like, hey, if you're not throwing it away, like I'll give you $5-10. I'll go to thrift stores, wherever we could go to get them. And that's great. And it's such a great feeling to like set up an event like that, to set up like a Genesis or to set up like a DreamHack and like, hey, here's 60 monitors all hooked up, ready to play Melee. And people don't normally get that experience because it's just harder. It's older technology. But I think the interesting thing here, and this is, again, like based off my own personal experience, having worked with Gaming Generations and a lot of these bigger Smash events, just on the logistics side, having that conversation with representatives from Nintendo and kind of the things that they're like, we'll slap you on the wrist for, and things that they're absolute like, no, don't do this. So as a part of Gaming Generations, we never used Slippy as far as like hacking Wii's. Everything was authentic, 1-to-1. We never modded anything. Big House, I remember we tested Big House and Genesis. They had the Arduinos that would plug in. That it's not technically modding because it's an additional piece of hardware. So that's my like cautiousness is like I would love to go to a monitor just from like a sake of like 1-to-1ness. Like if you're playing on station 8, it's the same as station 12. It's not this is a 27-inch CRT, this is an 18-inch CRT, whatever it is. But how are we using that to play? If it's the Eon adapter, which I agree, I thought they do fantastic work. Talked with them while they were there at Big House. I personally like the experience, but I'm not a pro player, so I don't know that I have as much input. If they approve the Eon, that's great. And I know Hungrybox has tried as well, promoting and doing his own events and stuff like that.
I think Low Tier City ran them too in Texas.
Is that the adapter that Hacks was like promoting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, like Mike was saying, we communicated with those people a lot. We were talking to them, and like logistically, if we're gonna go play on monitors, it has to be hardware. We won't be able to bring PCs to an event. Like, we'll get in trouble in person. Like, we won't get in trouble through the internet. And okay. Because it's technically a software mod, but it's also a hardware mod, wouldn't UCF work through a memory card? Isn't that like something that you could do? Because it's a hardware plug-in that's a save file.
The problem there is you're bending the actual code. Wii to run the homebrew channel to enable those mods.
You don't need a homebrew to run the UCF. You can just put it on a memory card and run it straight off the disk.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because all of my setups here, I have like 13 setups in Washington. All of them are disk setups. And like we ran before, obviously everything shut down. We were running the weekly in a town called Tukwila. All of it was UCF through hardware. Nintendo's just so weird about it.
One of the saddest moments of COVID where I took my CRT out of my room and put it in the garage.
I can't do
like not gonna be needing this for a while. And I like you were talking about, I like that one-to-one-ness. Like it was like annoying to just like practice on like netplay on my monitor, and like I had to go play like CRT. Like I felt like I had two like different melees to like warm up to and get used to. So I really like the consistency of like I'm gonna play on the same thing.
Well, and from a tournament organization standpoint too, that was something that I always felt like kind of negative about. Is we'd show up, and again, like we have just pallets of CRTs. We have some that match, some that don't match, and the ones that were like the preferred, like the Sony Trinitron, like always, like anytime that came off the pallet, that was going to main stage. That was going to warm up stations behind main stage for players. That was station 1 through 5 or however many we had, and then it's like, okay, now take all the more scratched up and busted ones and fill up the rest of the stations. It's like I always felt bad. It's like, well, there's no guarantee that, little Jimmy who's coming for his first tournament is going to get the same experience that a lot of the higher end players are just because he's a lower seed. I just never, it just felt grimy. Yeah. Oh no, I can't tell you how many CRTs I've slapped to. Somebody call me over and they're like, hey, this CRT or the color. Remember, we've had it before where it's like everything's just magenta.
Yeah.
Like you could play the game, everything's a magenta. You just slap that CRT and then it works. And you're like, call me if it happens again.
Well, remember we had that one that was like 2 pixels wide that was like condensed it to 2 pixels wide all the way down. It was just a line down the middle of the screen. And then when you slapped it on the side, it would start to widen and show the game. So the more we slapped it, we would like slap it to the edge. It would just be like, but I think the big thing is it would save TLs a lot of money and the potential sponsorship with Monitor. You could put a lot more money in the prize pool. Boom. Argument.
No, I was gonna say like another like big thing for me for using a monitor is I feel like there would be way more setups too.
Yes.
Yes. Like because sponsors would be able to just like, okay, like we'll just get a bunch of monitors. They're much more obtainable. Like we know what we're getting into, and like I literally bought a 144 hertz laptop, just so when live events come back, I have a setup to like warm up and play on because that has been a struggle.
Mike, how many GameCubes and how many Wiis do we have compared to CRTs? It's like, it's an astronomical amount. Like we have this giant orange bin that we can fill up with just full setups, but we just don't have that many CRTs, and we can't like. And then we have to. And if you want more setups, we have to rent a bigger truck to drive it out. Like, that's all money.
People are way more likely to like bring a monitor on like their flight or like in the car.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, I mean, yeah, no, asking someone to bring, hey man, can you bring a setup to so-and-so event? It's like, well, if it's not in the state, like, I remember like when I was in Utah and I would help some of the other TOs provide setups, I would just have to pack like, I could only take 6 setups with me. I had a ton of monitors, so I could only take 6 setups with me because it was just all CRT space, and I had to like lay the Wii's and GameCubes on top. It was a good time.
Yeah, that's just like a hard thing in general when you go to a LAN event, is just like finding that setup to warm up on.
Yeah, I also think that's something an event organizer like can create towards the end there. What was it? Pound by far was the best event for friendlies that I've ever been to, because they had all of their tournament setups, and then they had Xanadu in the back, and every single one of those Xanadu setups were all friendly setups. And it was just like, I think it's just creating like a space, because sometimes you go to an event and there's like a 30 by 30 square that's just not being used, or just being filled up with like dead space.
Yeah, speaking of grime, like it's rough when you're like a player my level, because like you're not allowed in like the top level like warm-up stations. So you have to like go to a TV and just be like, yo, like money match. And like you kind of know people can't say no, or it's just like kind of a bitch move. And so you just like you just take the setup that way, and then you just start throwing everyone on the station.
I mean, like, I kind of like the money match. I kind of like the money match grind that's out there, because it gives a little bit more incentive to go. It's a little bit more incentive for a player. Like let's say you went to an event and you couldn't money match. Like,
yeah,
that would suck if you're not a player constantly making money at these events. Because it's like, how you like, at least with a money match, you can chip away at like paying for food that night.
Yep.
But if you don't have that,
that's just more fun.
what was it? That was an issue in DreamHack Denver, because they were starting up those new gambling laws. That's why they don't do esports events in Denver really anymore. It's because it's considered gambling. The year before they activated it, I was at DreamHack, and they weren't allowing money matches at all. There was like security going around the FGC setups and like taking money off of the table and being like, no, you can't do this. Get out.
Oh, speaking of which, I've done this with a couple people. I did it with Hacks and Commaster. When we're on a setup and we just don't want like noobs to bother us, we just put money on the table, even though it's not a money match. Because like fucking like Nest Master 420 will come and be like, yo, can I play with you guys? And it's like, dude, why?
Why now? Why me? there's an open CRT next to you, and they're like, no, I want to play with you.
Yeah.
I love the money match culture, because there every now and then you'll go to a Smash Brothers event, and around the same time Halo was popping, you'll see like a Halo CE or Halo 2 setup. Bro, I have cleared house at a Halo 2 setup. It was Smash and Splash. It was like Saturday night. Everything was good. Everyone was going back to their hotel, and there was like this line at this. I held up a 20. I said, you guys put up 5, I'll put down 20 2v1s. Sanctuary. And they were like, okay. Bro, it was nice. I didn't spend a single dollar on drinks the rest of the weekend, because it was all Halo 2 money match dollars. They were like, oh, wow, do you play Halo a lot? I'm like, no.
So one thing I want to make sure to say, like, that whole like coaching thing and like mental health, that's actually why I got my personal training degree. Is like my end game is I really want to be an esports coach. Like, I want to introduce these players like an outlet that I felt like I never had, where it's like, oh, you want to compete in a game, like, it's a joke. And now it's starting to like shift more like this is a realistic thing and a respectable thing for you to do. And I want to be there as like that medium for like kids and just people that want to get into games. And like, you know, like, it's a lifestyle, and you should take care of yourself. Like, you should take care of yourself mentally, and you should take care of yourself physically, so you're performing. So that's definitely something that I like Melee has given me insight to is just like at first it's like, especially like growing up in Utah, it's like, oh, you're spending all your time in a video game, like shame, shame, shame. And now it's like, no, like Melee has like given me these life lessons that like not everyone is gonna get, and only competition can really teach you.
Well, Mike and I have talked about this a lot on the podcast before about just the business side and how to handle yourself in like a public light. Like you have a bunch of these little kids coming up now as like Fortnite esports stars and just running amok on Twitter, and they basically ruin their careers just by sending out a bad tweet. And I feel like a lot of those players aren't coached. They don't have anyone giving them advice. Maybe someone a little bit older is being like, yeah, no, you probably shouldn't say that. Or like, I'm not saying like silence these players anyway, but there's definitely things that have been said by younger players that are, I believe, just kind of unaware that they'll say. I mean, we don't have to name. Yeah, we don't have to name any names, but there's been a couple players in Utah that say some ridiculous things, whether it's about the game or just about where they think they are as a player, how they're performing. And it's just like you know them on a personal level, and you see that come out and you're just like, oh, man, like, dude, I really want to help you. Like, and they've reached out to me before and they're like, I was like, bro, I really want to help you, but like, I don't know where to start with you right now. Like, I just don't.
Utah just has like a direct correlation to just like its upbringing, right? Like, just like you're the special star, like have all this ego, you're worth so much, and then like we're all like Utah's pretty weak state for Melee. Then you go to California and people are like, man, I'm shit, and they're like top 15 in California. And they're just way better than most, or like everyone probably besides maybe me in Utah.
It's a wild thing. What I mean, we'll have to talk a little bit more about the coaching and mental health stuff, especially with like you coming on board, because I really definitely want to create like an environment where we start picking up players, and if we ever have players that are like stepping down eventually, like players that can kind of stick around and like help propel new players coming up, and like really talking to them and like getting them to their best place. Because a lot of things that people can't really do, and I think the reason why, because what I noticed in Utah is like you don't talk Melee with too many people in the scene in Utah, mostly just because of what I said before of like some people just have this crazy view on the game. But you and I have had some pretty good conversations about Melee, because I think you like you kind of recognize that like, oh, I actually study the game, so like I might ask you questions, but like I'm not saying anything outlandish. And I feel like
also, like you don't go like Fox's down air beats Falco's net. You're more on like the like grand scheme of things sort of aspect, like the much more like mental side.
Yeah, well, I just think that's super super important in a game like this. But I mean, we have you on here for about an hour. We have a little bit more time left. Something I have on here is like, what are your? I mean, you kind of just touched on this. Your goals for the future is you kind of wanted to become more of like a coach down the line, but what are your goals as a player right now? Are you competing a lot online? I know you took a little break recently. Are you planning on like making more of a comeback, or are you kind of waiting in the water right now, waiting for your time to come up?
So yeah, I took that break and something weird happened. Like I took like a month off, and I spent that month just like playing a lot of like WoW and Counter-Strike and stuff and just chilling. And when I like after that month, I developed like this like thumb spasm, like some tendonitis just from like my mouse. And like I was like, cool, like I took a break from Melee just to get hand problems, like because you know that's a very big thing in Melee is having hand problems. And so I was like, up until actually just like a couple days ago, like I was like hot soaking my hands, like taking all like naproxen and like glucosamine and magnesium and stretching out my thumb and putting tiger's balm on it and wearing a brace. And I was like, dude, like, why am I getting hand problems when I'm not playing Melee? And so I was getting super frustrated with that. And I just started playing Melee again, like probably like a week ago, like a lot. And the problem like went away. It's the weirdest thing.
It could be different muscles and different tendons that you're pulling on, like playing in that way, because your thumbs are used to moving a certain way. So when you start doing other things and playing different games. Because I had hand problems when I played Halo for a bit, especially Halo 2. I had problems when I was really young because I was just like, ooh, I gotta learn how to quad shot and BXR consistently. Like, just like trying to do tech skill in that stupid game on a Duke controller with a controller the size of my freaking head, and I had little kid hands.
Yeah.
But once I started obviously playing with buttons on the back of my controller, my hand problems went away. I think it's just like causing certain strains. Stretching your hands is super important. Yeah, I stopped stretching recently, and I had hurt my hand. Oh yeah, those two. I'm like warming them up, and I had I was having hand problems just playing Call of Duty casually. Like my hand problems were starting to come back. I was like, what is going on? But so I started stretching my hands again. Stretching your hands is key.
It's such a easy, because you start doing it and your problems go away and you're like, I don't need to do it anymore. But yeah, as far as like plans for Melee, like my schedule is a little rough right now because most events are just like on a weekend, and that's when I work. But there is like training mode Tuesdays and stuff, so I'll probably start doing some more of that. I'm honestly like, I'm on a new training regimen for Melee. Like I used to get frustrated that I couldn't play good players consistently, and now I'm just going on unranked and just like downloading people as fast as I can and trying to like get good at adapting and not just like playing people I'm comfortable with. And I think that's gonna go pretty far.
I think that'll definitely help you in like the pool play area, because I know every now and then like
I think every year.
Yeah, well, I think every now and then, especially going to like a big event, you kind of just run into someone that like you know who they play and you know how they play, but you haven't really had to adapt to their play style yet. And so when you get comfortable playing a character in a certain way, it's just like kind of hitting your head up against the wall.
Yeah, and just getting less frustrated by the dumb styles. They're like, this guy sucks. Like, why am I losing? And unranked, you definitely are like, wow, forward smashes 80 times in a row. And like, I'm so BM on unranked. Like, if Mars do that, I just start like exclusively using forward smash and just like, I call it forward smash dittos. And I just like, I like reflect their play style and just
going.
It's funny. I get quit out on a lot.
Well,
I'm just
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask real quick, just out of curiosity, because we're talking about play style. Just your stance on wobbling. Like, how many times have you encountered it in bracket, big matches? Like, are you for it or against it?
Alex is laughing because he knows I'm like one of the biggest proponents against it.
Yeah. Dude, I have. Okay, I'm gonna throw you under the bus a little bit, Logos. There was one time I was watching Logos play, and I don't know what it is about you, Ices, and Yoshis. And like every now and then I've seen you play against Ices on Yoshis, and you just get stuck on that little fucking, like, not the ledge, but the little diagonal part.
In the corner.
Yeah, you just get stuck there. And you're just teching and they just grab you. I'm like, stop going Yoshis. I'm like, they're just down smashing you.
That's been fixed.
That's good.
Yeah, when I would get frustrated, I would just be like, well, I'm just going to laser camp at the corner and show you how pissed off I am. But I'm like, I take stage control now. Also, good. Those are actually the two most annoying matchups in the game. Like, people are like, oh my god, Amsa is so cool. Yoshi is so whack, it's crazy. Every good player hates Yoshi.
It's because that jump cancel. He just jump cancel.
It's so annoying. So, but now I'm good. I'm good versus Yoshi, and like I'm okay versus Ice Climbers.
Well, I think your only problem with Ice Climbers was on Yoshi's, like on the stage Yoshi's. I think that was I think that was the only problem, because like I think you would get in like, oh, okay, well they're just gonna grab you, so I'm gonna laser camp. But like, but Falco wants to take them to Yoshi's, and you cannot laser camp on that stage. Really, you have to like kind of be in their face. So you go to laser camp, and they would just kind of weed it on you.
Dash across the entire stage.
Yep, but just down smash you, or just jab grab or something.
Yeah, that's been dealt with. Especially like, when's the last time I played like an Ice Climbers tournament? It's been it's probably been since Shine, when I got wobbled at 9 a.m.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, that was probably my worst tournament ever.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a wake-up call.
I felt really bad because like usually I'm like right behind you, but your match started so early that we were still in the process of like making sure everything was on. Like, because like the venue opened and the like the pools were just super early. Like the venue opened and everyone was playing their pools. Like there was no time to like sit down, play a little bit of friendlies. But I remember you lost, and what was it, me, you, and who went with us? We just went to the bar for like an hour. We just sat there. We drank some Guinness.
Yeah. What's funny is that was the tournament that like after that I started like destroying people. Like it's weird that was my worst tournament ever. And then I think after that was GTX, right? And that's like where I got second. And I beat Ty, and I beat like all these.
I didn't go to that one.
State players, and then I did well at Genesis. So it was like
very well at Genesis. Yeah.
Something broke inside of me.
I think you had a few out of state events that were good. Like run back, I think your run back was pretty good in 2018, 2017. Yeah. I think your run back was really good. We had a lot of fun at that event. And I think that was like an event that you had a lot of fun with. You got to play a lot of friendlies and actually like sit down and enjoy the game. And I feel like every now and then, like, because when you spend that money to go to an event, especially like when you're living in Utah, travel all the way across the states, you're staying at a hotel.
Are like murder. You're like, well, if I do bad, this was all a waste. And
right.
I don't think like that anymore.
I think that was like your time to be like, all right, I'm not wasting any more money. I'm on the grind. And then you hopped into
it. I just had a much softer, like, actually, so the thing that awoken inside of me about like performing well out of state was actually like empathy, because I thought I was just like, these problems were like exclusive to me, and there was like something like just up with me. And then I realized, I was like, holy shit, everyone else is nervous too. And everyone else is like stressed out of their mind. And that, like, it sounds so simple, but like really feeling that, I was like, dude, I'm fine now. And like, now I'm like, oh, if I do bad in an event, like at least I got to see like my friends that I only get to see when I travel. It's a much less like all or nothing thinking sort of way to go about it, as well as like really snuffing my ego for the game. Like, these guys just play lame in this way, so like they're not better than me.
It's more about them and not about you.
Yeah, and now I'm just like, I accept the game for what it is. Like I kind of play dirty now, actually.
Good.
Like if you saw me play now, play now, I am like that old logo's hot is still there, but I can be pretty lame.
You could just not move.
Like, yeah, like my step with Sensei, dude. Oh man, I was looking like pee-pee, dude. So much just lasering. You would have been so proud, dude. This guy's just full hopping. I'm just shooting. I'm not going into this full hop. And like he touches the ground, he shields. I just grab him, rinse and repeat. And I was like, okay, like this is just the way that it is.
Well, now that you're on board with us, and we're going to be, especially when these events come back, we're definitely going to be looking to actually send you to these events and really help you get to where you want to get to as far as we can. Obviously, I'm excited to like be there for that comeback and that growth, and excited to see you play like that. I'm hyped because I can't wait to go to an event. Obviously, like I won't be able to work all of the events that are happening. But if I'm not working that event, like we're gonna make sure that you're going, and we're gonna be there.
I appreciate that, and I miss events so much. Oh my god,
I'm gonna cry.
Like it's only started hitting recently. Like at first I was doing online tournaments, and I was like, I don't know what everyone's complaining about. This is fine. And now like lately, I'm just like, it's just like not what I signed up for. You know, like I want to do lands.
Yep. Well, we'll do them soon. Thank you for coming on. We're gonna roll you out a little bit. We've hit our hour mark. We got some hot Call of Duty news to talk about.
No, we can skip the COD pick'ems. That's fine. We just end the show now. That's cool.
I'm catching up to you, baby. I'm catching up to you. But I want to say thank you again for joining us. Thank you again for joining us on the podcast and joining the team. I know you came from another sponsor, but we have snagged you up, and we're gonna go along with it. This was our official announcement of you, so we're gonna really get you pumping now that your hand's feeling better and you're winding down from your break.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for having me. In both senses, the podcast and the team. It's definitely motivating to have a sponsor.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna have to do some other non-podcast content here pretty soon. Pretty soon. All right. Well, if you want to go ahead and I want to kick you out, but if you just want to go ahead and leave the call for me so we can talk.
behind me. It's cool.
Talk about some other esports stuff.
You're like, man, I can't believe he bashed wobbling. Yeah. I'm so offended.
Idiot. I'm a wobbler. No,
I'm a wobbler.
No.
I already bashed both the characters he plays.
He won't play. Hey.
Yeah, I won't play with friendlies.
No. You play it. Remember, you play it, and I just crouch canceled your DK with my Sheik, and it was a good night for me. And then we played.
Mario. So.
And then we played beer pong. Oh, come out here.
I still need to do that.
Yeah, come out here. We'll play. Maybe that's what, dude. There's some good Washington people here. Get you out here. Play some beer pong. Play some melee. All right, we'll leave my call because we got to talk about Call of Duty.
All right.
All right, thank you. Bye. All right, now he's gone, dude. Yeah, Logos is sick, man. I've known him for quite a long time, and him and I have talked a lot about like possibly him joining the team and getting on here. I've always believed in him as a player, and I wanted to get him on board. What did you? I mean, is that that's the first time you've really talked to him, huh?
Yeah, I know. I've definitely seen him at events before, but that's the first time to get a chance and kind of pick his brain a little bit. I love the fact that just his mentality with the entire approach to melee. Like melee is like in its weird own like ecosphere, but knowing that like he has that competitive drive for other games as well, right. Like for shooting games and other games like that. So I think that's great. I think anybody that does that has a super good head on their shoulders. And, I like also as well as like there is not so much to say that it's like a glass ceiling, but it's like, especially in melee, like you see the rankings and he's like, okay, now I know where technically I'm at and this is where they say I am. And now the goal is like break top 100. And even hearing him say, it's like, yeah, like the whole pandemic sucked, but like now not only top 100, I want to hit top 20 and I kind of rank up there. And so, seeing his name along, other, top players like that is super exciting. And, hopefully the best for him and the rest of the team going forward when events come back.
When he starts getting top 20, we'll have to like do more shit for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that should be in the contract.
Keep him up.
Be an obligation there. Yeah, it unlocks the alternate jersey or whatever.
Yeah, the ultimate jersey. Here.
Yeah, he gets
no
gets
reason to pay, right? No sponsorship. We're just gonna we're gonna slap a gold star on your forehead. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like you get top 100. It's just a tank top. It's like a midriff tank top right now is the jersey. You break 100, you get the right sleeve, and then you break top 50, you get the left sleeve, and then you get the bottom half of the jersey when you break top 20.
That would be dope. Okay. We're going to round out the show, obviously, with a little Call of Duty segment. I'm going to run through the news real quick and challengers, and then we'll get into my pick'ems, not yours. My pick'ems. And then we'll end the show. We're going to go ahead and start with let's start with challengers. We had the Challengers Cup 9 that just happened. Fantastic. We're just going to talk top 4. We're going to move on to European, and then we'll talk about other stuff. Okay, we have Fantastic Four placing first place, beating Subliners Academy in second. We have KC Pioneers in third, Birthday Dub in fourth. Fantastic Four's Standy, which we'll talk about here too, Subliance, Decimate, and Davapede. Subliners Academy, Spart, Prolute, Saints, Hydra. So Hydra is still playing very well in the Subliners Academy. It's good to see that. And then let's go ahead and move on over to Europe. Europe, you had Los Galacticos as in first, and in second, Passion. So yeah, nothing too crazy. Medals team, Lucky, Journey, and Evade. They're placing first. They look super good in Europe. Europe's obviously does a little good. They're getting really good. Europe's getting really good. And then Renegades taking over APAC. Once again, it's just Challengers has been kind of a formula so far. We have some news. Activision layoffs, about 150 employees, which is about a lot of people to lay off, all in their esports division. I think, hear me out, I think this may have been taken out of context just a little bit too much. I know a lot of people were worried because they said something specifically about doing less live events. Mm-hmm. I think they're obviously going to bring back live events. It sucks that these people got laid off, but it's super hard to keep people on right now in a live event group where you're possibly not going to be doing as many live events. And my guess is, and you can talk a little bit about this because I know you probably have some words about it, is the formula we have now in the CDL will probably transfer over to the Overwatch League, and you'll probably see the 2 online league play match weeks, and then you'll see the 1 major week, and the majors will probably be on LAN in the future. How I would like for them to handle that is if there's 5 LANs in the area, you have the 4 stages, you have playoffs, and then champs. 3 stages, playoffs, champs. That's 5. That's 5 LANs. I think they should do the top 5. The top 5 seeding from the year before should get those LAN events. So, like, if you win Atlanta, you get champs. Your home event will be champs. And then let's say Seattle places 5th, they get the 4th. You know, that's what I want. That's what I want to see. I want to see some more incentive going the way. Like I said, it still sucks that these people got laid off. Obviously, I want as many live events as possible, but I just don't think that's going to happen with Call of Duty. I think now that they found a really good, basically layout format for the league. What do you think?
Yeah, I echo your sentiment. Like, I know a handful of the people that did just, they were laid off in this latest instance here. Blizzard, we've seen it happen multiple times over the last couple of years. Just these massive layoffs happen, especially, this one happening in the esports sector. I think that from a company standpoint, like, obviously, like, coming off the pandemic, like, they have to be able to adjust for budget and kind of like, okay, like, we're operating in a loss. We're not going to be able to, fulfill all these obligations that we originally were lining up because we were supposed to be on the uptick, and now we just plummeted down.
Right.
It is really unfortunate to see, especially with the geolocations for both leagues, for Overwatch League and Call of Duty League, like, knowing like, okay, well, technically the Chicago team should be in Chicago, the Seattle team should be in Seattle. Like, now knowing that there's going to be a lot more online, obviously there's a better benefit there as far as like the teams aren't traveling. There's, it's easier for them to, play in their own facility. This may lead to what I would really like to see is we continue with this online format. Hopefully we get worlds for both CDL and Overwatch League pending their season structure. Right. And then going into the 2022 seasons, have it to where, okay, the Seattle team is playing in this facility. If you want to attend to cheer them on live, then go.
That would be sick.
They're playing Chicago. Chicago is playing in this facility.
I'll build the stage.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's like, with the first season of Overwatch League, they had that entire sound studio. They had their own production facility that they were renting out and built. And it was just all the fans had to be there. You had to travel to that one location. I would love to see more remote broadcasts where it's these, okay, we're trained as fans to watch as online, but now we can go and engage.
I would go to every game.
And yeah, they could, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, you would go actually to support your team because you can't do that tickets? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can't do that with traditional sports. You can't say, okay, you are signing on to play, you have tickets to see the Patriots play and they're playing Green Bay, but this is an away game. So now you have to go to that location. Like, I think that's a huge opportunity, specifically when the esports sector, because we haven't seen really anything like that before. So the layoffs are terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously never a good thing.
No.
It kind of hurts like faith as far as in the product itself, but there might be some good pivoting here coming off of the pandemic. So we'll just see. If I were literally in the executive boardroom and this is what, the discussion was, hey, we got to do these layoffs. Hey, it's going to be online based. We're checking into homesteads. We don't know if we're going to do homesteads. To be like, okay, every team, once things are in the all clear, like, they need to find their home facility, their base of operations, basically. And then that way fans can come in. It might be difficult where it's like, hey, we have a game on Tuesday at 4 p.m.
Right.
For anybody to show up. But I think that'd be a lot, there's a lot of potential there.
No, I like that. I feel like, or they could just do like an open, like a members, like open facility, Like, hey, like if you buy the membership, we'll give you like a pass, like a little ID card. You just come in, you can watch the team play. And like, it's almost like a LAN center / like a training center / come watch your favorite team play.
I mean, obviously the end goal there would be for challengers or for like AM tournaments as well, as you would actually have like, hey, here's the pro team. You're coming into our facility playing in our AM, and that's how you earn your spot onto the AM team.
We should talk about this, and we should come up with a business plan for him and present it.
Absolutely.
Let's do this. I think you and I could run that.
We just have to
talk about it.
Them on board. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's go ahead. We're going to talk about some. So 2 videos have come out. Okay. 2 videos have come out, and both of them are pretty interesting. We have 2 official roster changes that have happened. We're going to talk about 100 Thieves first. Let me pull it up right here. We had Mud Dog sitting down with Coach Cap. It's about a 4-minute long video explaining like where they want to be as a team, where they are right now, and they're kind of just not there. Everyone expects this team to be contending for championships, but they're a top 5 team, maybe top 6. They don't clutch out, which we'll talk about a little bit later. They don't clutch their games. They're not winning how they should be winning with the talent on this team. So Temp, the flex player, is now officially on the bench, and we have Venom from the Challengers League stepping in their place. There was a rumor that Venom was going to be a substitute on this team, and you and I talked a little bit about it last week with Venom coming in. We thought they were going to make an actual change here pretty soon if they didn't perform their best, and they didn't. So Venom's in, and we said Temp was the one that was going to be out. It's probably Temp's not. Slasher is the captain of this team, and Slasher is one of those players that likes to take charge in the game, really call the shots, and really just tell you what to do. And Slasher can do that because Slasher's an amazing player, but Temp's also one of those players where he just loves to do his thing. So I think maybe it could have been something like that. So Venom's standing in for Temp. I think Kenny's going to run the full submachine gun role. And then I know TJ was kind of explaining that the ARs were overpowered. So I think TJ is going to be called to flex. Slasher AR, TJ flex. Kenny and Venom will be running your sub. It'll be interesting to see what one will be the Slayer sub and what one will be the objective sub. And we're going to move on to Minnesota. Minnesota has made a team change. Finally, they were one of the worst hardpoint teams in the game. They were supposed to be one of the best search teams in the game, and they haven't won any of the last 5 search and destroy maps. They look terrible. They're one of the worst teams in the league, it doesn't make sense. So Major Maniac is out, and Standy from the Challengers League has jumped in. Standy was on the Triumph squad, had a lot of success there, jumped over to the squad that took second in this most recent Challengers Cup and now has made their way on to Minnesota. Now we have Assault, Priesta, Standy, and oh my goodness. I'm blanking. Wait, Accuracy, Priesta, Standy. There's one more.
I don't know either. He's about to Google it. He's gonna look it up. I will while you're doing that though. I'm thank goodness Minnesota is actually trying to make a change here. I don't know what happened. Maybe it's just my perception, but like they were at least mid-pack team. Going back even a few weeks to the start of the season. Oh, he got it.
I'm so upset with myself. Attach. So it's gonna be Attach, Accuracy, Priesta, and Stan. I don't know why I was forgetting about Attach. I was just about to bring him up as a point. Attach has been fantastic in search. I know a lot of people were looking at Priesta to really step up and start slaying. I think Priesta was in a very uncomfortable role for himself. So I think Accuracy's been playing pretty well. He's been slow. So Major Maniac was really the only player that made sense to me to kind of go out. I know a lot of people were looking at Priesta. I think it's Major Maniac, and that's what happened. Standy is in. Go ahead and go on with what was your point with the
Yeah, I'm just shocked with Minnesota. I mean, we can kind of get in more with that with our predictions here. But yeah, Minnesota, huge letdown.
Yeah, I mean, Attach, Major Maniac, Priesta, and Accuracy. Like, those are all 4 names that people know that should be winning. Like, that's a team that should be winning at least top middle of the pack, and they're just not right now. They beat Dallas in the first series that they played against them. We'll talk about who they're gonna have to play. They're gonna have to play them again this next coming week, and they haven't won a match. Mm-hmm. They haven't won a match since. They've choked against Toronto. They just haven't looked good. Have not looked good. I'm glad they finally made a change. It is about time.
Mm.
You and I, let's go into last week's pick'ems. That's not them. This is them. We had New York versus Atlanta. Both, we predicted this correct.
This is the big one for me. This Florida Mutineers versus Seattle Surge.
Yet. I was like, why haven't I marked these?
Surge took that 3-1. I was quite shocked. I actually had that 3-2 for Florida, but
I had a 3-2 for Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle proving the better mythical sea creature team in that matchup.
And then you and I both had LA Thieves beating Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
They beat them 3-2.
Yep.
So Insight stepped in for Methods. I really wanted Toronto to lose. However, Insight played phenomenally. Insight dropped 18 kills on the last search and destroy map and still lost in the game 5. So I think they need to drop bans, add Methods, get Methods to run the AR, get Insight to play around with the flex roll. I think they'll be a fantastic team, possibly even a top 5 team.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to go ahead and move on for that. You choked this hard. You have been a fan of Paris all year, and the one team I knew they could beat, they pull it off. I had this a little bit closer of a match, but you had Minnesota actually winning 3-1. Did you watch this match? Because this was a not good. Because Paris smacked them 3-0.
I didn't. No, which is crazy. We were talking about that earlier. Like a few weeks back. Like I was praising Paris. I'm like, they're an underdog team. They're just getting in shape. Like, be on the lookout. They're going to be amazing. And it just like for whatever reason, the mystique of Minnesota like just clouded my judgment. And yeah, I completely bombed out on that one. And it's terrible too, because that's what I was saying. It was like, this is a team you need to watch. And then I didn't watch them. I watched the wrong team.
It was because you didn't watch them that they failed.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we had Chicago and Paris. This is pretty clear to us. We had that Chicago win it pretty easily. This next one, you also put all of your chips on Minnesota again, not having very much confidence in Florida, but Florida actually coming out really hot and beating Minnesota 3-0. We have Dallas versus Seattle. This was the series of the weekend.
Yeah.
2 round 11 search and destroys, went all the way to game 5, round 11. Seattle took them to, I was rooting for Seattle, obviously, but I'm glad they lost because my pick'ems were 100% correct at this point. And then this next match, London versus LAG. I said going into this match that with London snagging Pollux, dropping Parasite, even with the lack of practice, they were going to look like a new team. And they showed up hot fire. London picking up their first win of the season against LAG. Super solid stuff. 3-0. 3-0 for London. Really convincing. I think the control was close, but I think that's just because it was control. And then let's see, we had Atlanta versus Ultra. We both knew where this one was going.
Mm-hmm.
And the ultimate letdown for me, the one match I got incorrect this whole weekend, and it was a freaking reverse sweep. Man, LA Thieves was up. LA Thieves was up 2-0 in the series, and they choked it. So, Mike, you get the point. Let's see.
Not only did I predict that the winner of that series correctly, I said Subliners was going to beat LA Thieves, but I actually predicted it correctly as well for the 3-2, which on the CDL pick'ems gives me 6 additional points because it was the Game Fuel match of the night. So I know that's not the points we're going by, but I'm just saying I feel I had a little bit of redemption because I got the additional points because of the Game Fuel match, the marquee match. So
I gotta find my expo marker that I had. Oh, here it is. I put it away. The one time I put it away. So I accumulated 9 individual predictions correct, and you accumulated 6. Man, I was so close. So now I have 26 points. Ooh, it's getting close.
I was going to say, it's probably way closer.
It's 28. I am within 2, baby.
Oh, no! I feel way less confident about this week.
I went from 5 down to 2 down. We are back here. I mean, I keep it right here so I can look at it every day so I can feel my hatred for you. So overall, good week of matches. A lot of surprises. I got kind of lucky. I predicted some of the surprises coming in. I think the one thing I did actually predict correctly because I knew it was going to happen was the Seattle match. That's the Seattle beating Florida. It's the only match.
I mean, to be fair, you'd been predicting Seattle basically every week up until this point, and now they actually they won one. So kudos to them.
Okay,
kudos to you.
No, but I predicted how they were going to win. It was the
true.
Prediction, it was the prediction I was the most confident in.
Yeah.
But now we are here. Week 2, stage 2, Thursday. We're starting it off hot. We have Dallas Empire versus Paris Legion. I think this is going to be closer than.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I really feel, and again, like maybe this is my, like the roller coaster ride, you know, kind of like Logos would say, like the peaks and valleys. Like I'm like, Paris, go. I'm like, they're doing okay. And then I predicted wrong. So now I'm back up on the upswing. I'm believing my own hype. I think this is actually going to be a 3-2 for Dallas, but it's going to be a very close series. I think Paris, I can't turn my back on Dallas, not just yet, but I think Paris is going to show up for sure.
Here's the thing. I think Dallas is one of those teams that plays down to their opponents. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the only time we haven't seen them be able to do that is when they play a team truly better than them, and that was Atlanta. I think they're going to play down to Paris, and they're going to realize they're in a round 11 search and destroy, and Hook's going to make a stupid play and close it out. I think that's just how the series is going to go. But then we have Chicago versus Minnesota.
I originally had this as a 3-0 for Optic, but then before I clicked that save predictions button, I changed it to a 3-1. So I'm saying Optic is going to take the series against Minnesota 3-1. It may be a full-blown stomp out, though. It might be a 3-0.
I think it's going to be a 3-1. I think with the team change they just recently made, I think they might come out a little bit hotter than we expect. I think if they're going to take a map, it's probably going to be the first hard point.
Yeah.
Then we have Friday. So you and I'm predicting 3-1 as well. I'll start off this one. LA Thieves versus the London Royal Ravens. This is going to be Paul X on London playing the newcomer on LA Thieves. I don't know why I'm blanking. Venom. They teamed together in the Challengers League, so this is going to be a little bit of a rivalry match here. They were both on West Star at one point before West Star just took a massive crumble into the dirt. I think LA Thieves, their talent pool is a little bit too strong for me to go against them. I'm going to predict it's a 3-1, and I think London Royal Ravens is going to play really patient in the Search and Destroy and win that.
It's very interesting because I actually made this decision before the roster changes were fully locked in. I actually have Royal Ravens winning this series 3-1, and I'm not 100% confident about that. I feel like LA Thieves, especially with, you know, the change in meta and the change in the team, are going to perform a lot better. But
I think this is a toss-up, though.
Yeah,
I think this could be a toss-up. Honestly, you're. I don't think you're. I mean, obviously, if this wasn't, I don't know. I don't know if it does. I think it could go either way.
I think it could. I think it's going to be a closer series than a 3-1 potentially. But that's what I put in. So there's a free point. There's a charity point. to Alex, you're within 1 now. Let's call it.
All right. Well, this should be an easy prediction, and I think we both predicted this one, unless you're a madman. I think New York's gonna win. LA Gorillas. I mean, I think this is the most uninteresting lineup of matches in the first 2 days that I think I've seen. Besides the LA Thieves, London Royal Ravens, I think that's the most interesting one so far.
Yeah, I think that's right, and I think Paris Dallas as well.
Yeah.
Only because just this is like again like the testament like is Paris going to be on the uptick? Right. I have Subliners as my second favorite team in the league right now, just behind Dallas. Like I said, like I put a lot of stock in them every week for New York, and I feel like they're going to take this series 3-1. I initially was going to put it as a 3-0 against Gorillas, but I feel like a solid 3-1.
I almost wrote 3-0, but 3-0s in this league it's hard to come by.
Well, wait until you see the rest of my predictions.
Well, okay. So now here we're getting a little bit more interesting. We have New York Subliners versus London Royal Ravens. Mm-hmm. I think this match, I have New York winning. I think for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. But I think this match could potentially get interesting with London's team change. And depending on if I think London will have a chance at winning this game if they do well against the Thieves. If they beat the Thieves, I think they will win the second match.
I 100% agree with that. And, I have London coming off hot against Los Angeles. I think the other interesting factor with this is the first matchup for that Saturday. And these are both teams had previously played the day prior.
Yep.
So I'll be curious to see how they come into this from like an actual mental state, if there's any kind of like rust or like slow to get to the game plan. I have New York taking this 3-2. Mm-hmm. I feel like it potentially could be more of a toss-up, but then again, like that just depends on London, how they really shape up and how they play. So that I think that's going to be probably one of the best matchups of this entire week looking forward.
I agree with that 100%. We have Atlanta Vase versus LA Thieves next. This is a tough one. Here's the thing.
No, it's not tough. It's
listen to me.
It's phase 3-0. That's my prediction.
Okay. Do you know what I'm gonna do? Okay.
Well,
my pick'ems is saved for phase.
Okay.
But on the LFTG official podcast, I think I might be changing my mind.
You changed my mind on any of my other previous picks.
Okay, that's fine. I was trying to just give you a free thing. That's fine. I agree with you. I think I predicted 3-0 on my pick'ems.
Did you really?
Yeah, for face. I don't know, man. I'm looking at this weekend. I'm like, all right, well, who could beat FaZe? It's gonna be talent versus talent, man. I think the only team I'm looking at right now to give FaZe their first loss is Dallas. They struggled in the finals against them. Optic, they took them to a game 5, and really, who else? I think with the addition of Venom, I think Atlanta maybe could take them. I mean, LA Thieves could maybe take them to a game 5, but I'm sticking with my pick'ems.
Here's the interesting thing to look at this here. So from last week, Atlanta beats Toronto 3-0. Not a shocker there, right? The first matchup of that week was Atlanta versus New York. Atlanta won that series 3-1, right? This is where I'm going. The last match of that series from last week, from that stage, was LA Thieves versus New York Subliners. Subliners won 3-2. So if New York can only take one game off of FaZe, and they're that close of a matchup to New York, it has the potential to be a closer series. I should have at least maybe given LA a single game, but I still don't think that's going to happen.
I think you're making sense.
Yeah, I think 3-0.
You're making sense to me. Okay, now we have Toronto Ultra versus the LA Gorillas. What did you have?
Oh, I really think I'm going to hit you with the real talk. I think this is going to be a bum ass game. I'm not excited for it, but I think it's going to be a close. It's going to be some close shit. God, that's the thing.
It's going to be watching like a really close round 1 pool game.
Yeah, exactly. I have Toronto beating LA Gorillas 3-2 in that matchup. I think it's going to be close, but it's not because they're both equally talented teams. They're just that far down on the roster.
Yeah, we're pretty. We only have one match predicted. Otherwise, I mean, I agree with you. I think Toronto, with Insight playing how he did against those other teams last week, I feel like if Toronto can really actually start working together, they can maybe not choke matches. And I think this next week is going to have to be the week to do it. And I think they'll pull through.
So, what's your prediction for that one for Toronto Ultra versus LA Gorillas?
3-2.
3-2 for
Ultra.
For Ultra. Okay, yeah. So we predicted at the same time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. That's a push.
Okay, this might be something we're different on. I'm on the high train to Seattle, baby. It's 20 minutes away. I'm going downtown and celebrating Sunday night because Seattle's beating Paris 3-1, baby.
3-1?
Paris don't stand a chance, dude.
Wow. Paris performed really good last week. I have...
Who?
Or Seattle performed really good last week. Sorry, my bad. That's what I'm saying.
Paris sucks.
I actually have this. I have this for Paris 3-2.
Shocker. I
feel like it's part of me just to spite you, but also it has the potential to be a closer series. I could also see 3-1 for Seattle, though. That's the problem. The Seattle team is getting ready to buck up, and they're literally they were at rock bottom. They were as low as you could go, and now the only way to go is up. So kudos to them. Speaking of teams hitting rock bottom, Dallas Empire versus Minnesota Ruckhor. The other 3-0 I predicted in the matches this week.
Before you go on, I will tell you this. Dallas has lost to 2 teams so far this year. Do you know who those 2 teams are?
Well, I'm going to have to say one is Minnesota.
The other one's
Atlanta. And the other is FaZe, yeah.
Yep. So, we've seen Minnesota do it before. Now they have a new player. Can it happen again? Not a chance. Minnesota, get out of here. You're getting 3-0'd. Get out of here.
I like how like midway through the pick'ems we're like, it's really hard to get 3-0s in this league. It's really hard to see, and then we're already just 3-0 here, 3-0 there, 3-0 here.
All right. I think this match is going to be, this is the Game Fuel marquee match of the week. It's going to be Optic versus Florida. Florida Awakening, Skies. I mean, everything's looking pretty solid. They did just take a loss to Seattle this last week. Whoop, whoop. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about Awakening and Skies. When Awakening and Skies play really well, they do well. But that's when both of them play well at the same time. But the thing is with this team, Awakening always plays well. It's going to be up to Skies, man. And I don't think Skies is going to be consistent enough to really. I don't think he's going to be consistent 3 games in a row. I don't think he's going to be consistent 2 games in a row. I have Optic taking this in a close set, 3-2. I think Skies will be probably consistent in the hard point and maybe the search and destroy. The reason why I think it's a 3-2 is because that search and destroy, Awakening gets blood like 40 to almost 50% of the time. That's a big deal, Mike. That's a big deal. But I do have Optic winning.
I have Optic winning 3-2. For pretty much the same exact reasons.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like Florida is like they're like showing good form and they're showing well, but I feel like Optic is just, that's the problem. It's like, do you back the team that's just consistent, or do you back the team that's like a dice roll? It's like 1 in 6 chance that they're going to perform well.
I mean, here's the thing. We're filling out pick'ems. We're trying to get these points to win your Astro Gaming headset so you can tune into all your Astro Gaming listen-ins. I mean, I just think that the Optic pick makes sense. I just think Florida's just not consistent. I mean, they're losing to teams like Seattle, but it's just that just can't be happening. Do you know how many places Seattle jumped after this last weekend after winning their one match?
I don't actually.
0. They didn't go up any places. They're still 11th. I'm mad, dude. So I need Minnesota to fail, which they will, and I need London to keep doing bad. I need Minnesota to lose, Gorillas to lose.
Gorillas, I was going to say, yeah.
And Ultra, yeah. So there's a lot of teams here that are losing. The unfortunate part is either Toronto Ultra or Gorillas are going to have to win one series. So as a Seattle fan, I'm going to be probably just not watch that because I'm bad other way. Because I don't want to watch. I don't want to. That's the one match I really don't want to watch. Mm-hmm. So we only have 2 matches predicted differently. I have LA Thieves beating London. You have London beating. Like I said, that's a 50-50, man. Honestly, that's a coin toss because we've seen LA Thieves just not play well. And then we have Paris and Seattle because you're back on the Paris train for some reason. Watch it. Now that you've gotten back on, they're going to start slowing down.
That's the curse. That's going to be the curse. That's the CDL season curse for me to back. I back them, they do great. I don't back them, they just flip flop. So we'll see though. It should be a lot of good matches though, especially with a lot of the team changes coming in, and we're still kind of like the new maps and the the new metas and the GAs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the new maps were great to watch. I really like Apocalypse Hardpoint. I think it was fantastic to watch. There's a lot of really cool sites. I think Minnesota was one of those teams. I think we saw them play it, and I was like, okay, what are you doing? Like, you can tell there's a couple of teams that just need to spend a couple more days on that map. Is there any upcoming events that you're going to be watching this weekend besides the CDL?
I don't have anything particularly on my docket. I'm actually getting ready. I'm going to be traveling this weekend.
Oh yeah.
I'll be away from home, but I'm going to tune in and try, and I'm at least going to see the recaps for the CDL events. I will again promote. If you guys have not checked out, Will English again is hosting his own Overwatch competition. The dates have been moved. I think I mentioned last week. They're in April now. So if you guys have Overwatch, a team that you would like to sign up, signups are still open. You can follow him on Twitter at Will English IV, which is Will English IV, and his event is the Invitational. Really looking forward to that. I actually, funny enough, over the last week and a half, I've been playing a lot more Overwatch, and I love the fact that we talked about it before. They've added CTF as like more of it's still like a temporary game type, but you can tell they're testing. Last night they actually had it was CTF, but it was only one map. There was no map rotation. They're testing this. Yep. So hopefully, we'll get a lot more variety.
Maybe
with
for Overwatch 2.
League. Well, that's the funny thing. I don't know what Overwatch 2. We didn't get any info really at BlizzCon last month, and so I don't know if they're just going to stick with current Overwatch. There's no new characters planned. Maybe they'll shake up the meta a little bit. Maybe they'll be like a patch where it's like, hey, now here's everybody's ultimates. Things have changed. Like, who knows? But yeah. Check out the Will English. Check him out on Twitter. He's doing a lot of other stuff with fighting games as well, if you're into that. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on that event coming up.
You just reminded me, we did have a Halo event that we hosted this last weekend. It was our Q3 for our Halo 1K Invitational. We go and double check it. So there we go. Right. Shocker, in first place we have Bound and Renegade, not dropping a single set. So they were the first team to qualify for the Halo 1K Invitational. We have Bacon and Halo Elite. They were the second team to qualify, so congratulations to both of those teams. Tied for third place, we have Johan, Guardian, and Strikey Sasuke. Just one round shy of qualifying. The bracket was pretty good. Not too many 3-0s, actually. There was a couple of game 3s. The final game, Bound and Renegade kind of stomped their competition all day. They just look so good. There was almost Grand Finals almost was a crazy series because Bacon and Halo Elite on map 3 on Plaza, they were down 24 to like 17 or 18. And they made the comeback to 24-24.
Oh my gosh.
However, there was a trade, and the game ended in a tie. 25-25, full out tie. They had to replay game 3, and Bound and Renegade just went off. It was like 15-2, and then the other team quit out. I was like, okay. I was like,
that's wild.
Yeah. No, I thought we were gonna have a series. I was like, it was like a 6-kill swing, like without Bound or Renegade getting any kills. Like perfect timing. Overshield came up, Sniper came up. It was good times there. But it's our show was a little bit longer. It usually is when we have a guest. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Today was sick. I'm catching up in the pick'ems. Hey, if I get this 100% correct this next week, we're all tied up, baby. Only 2 matches predicted differently. It's okay though. I mean, this week just made sense.
I like the fact that we're basically on the same wavelength, and I like that helps me and gives me reassurance that, you know, what my faith in teams and pick'ems are a little more accurate, because I know that you follow it a lot more closely. Like you follow all the teams, you follow all the games and everything, and I'm kind of like a part-time spectator. But the fact that this week we have the only difference are 2 games, and
one's mine just because of Seattle.
Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, you had the one week where you predicted, you did the same thing. You basically cleaned house to all but 1 match.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know what to look for. We talk about the game long enough, obviously. So we're gonna go ahead, and it's that time of afternoon, a little bit earlier of a show today. We're gonna roll in the music and sit down, and we're just gonna reflect on how nice the weather was this last week, especially here. And
I don't know. Look at that. I'm wearing my knit hat. It was terrible here.
Shut up. No, it was great weather here in Washington. I'm sorry you didn't have good weather. It's been super sunny. I'm excited to. I mean, I just feel like everything's on the lift up. You know, rumors of events coming back. Rumors of lands. Just
I've been receiving a lot of communication from different clients that I've worked with before that are saying, like, keep your calendar open for 2022. That's what they're saying.
I'm ready, baby. Just like SpongeBob. I'm ready to start rolling into this. But thank you guys so much for watching episode 26 of the LFTG podcast. Thank you again, Logos, for coming on. It was sick talking to you. Congratulations on picking up a sponsorship from us. Welcome to the team. I'm your host, Refresh, and this is my other beautiful furry beanie. Looks like he's warm. About to get all bundled up, snuggle up, maybe watch a movie or something, or TV, whatever you're going to do tonight. Sitting next to me, always kind of, but not really.
It's Mohawkmike, who was very dumb and lost his lead in the CDL pick'ems. Now we're 2 points away.
I was getting so hyped. I knew Toronto was just going to lose, baby.
Mm-hmm.
No way they were winning. I didn't want them to. Drop methods. No Zinni. No Winnie.
No Winnie.
Yeah. That is a real thing. Oh my goodness. Dude, I forgot to do again.
Set up the outro. Filling time. Thanks for coming by to watch the show. He's making a transition so we can go all the way to the end of the show.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yay!
All right, thank you guys again so much. Bye now.
Okay, bye.